Your last blood test said your blood sugar was normal. Your doctor moved on. And yet, most afternoons, somewhere around 3 o'clock, the fog rolls in. Focus thins. The recovery that used to come easily after a hard week now drags into the next one. Here is the part nobody told you. A single fasting glucose reading taken once a year is a photograph. Your metabolism is a film, and in the hours between meals, that film can contain sharp spikes and steep drops that a once-a-year photograph will never capture. Over 2 weeks, a small sensor worn on the arm, a continuous glucose monitor, records that film minute by minute. And in people whose annual numbers look perfectly normal, it routinely reveals a pattern of swings that the single number simply cannot show. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you what those 2 weeks reveal, why the swing matters more than the average, and what you can do about it, even if every test you have ever had came back normal. Before we go further, if you want clear, evidence-led longevity medicine without the hype, subscribe. It genuinely helps the channel reach more people like you. And if you would like to see where your own health stands across the 6 pillars that matter most after 45, there is a free executive longevity scorecard linked below. It takes about 8 minutes. Let me tell you about a patient. I will call him James, a composite of many executives I have sat across from. James is 51. He runs a demanding business. By every conventional measure, he is well. His annual bloods are unremarkable. Fasting glucose, normal. Cholesterol, treated and fine. His GP told him, in good faith, that there was nothing to worry about. But James knew something the bloods did not. By mid-afternoon, he was running on fumes. The clarity he relied on in morning meetings was gone by 4, and the weekends, which used to restore him, no longer did. He had been told he was fine so many times that he had started to wonder whether the problem was simply age or simply him. So we did something his annual check had never done. We put a continuous glucose monitor on his arm for 2 weeks and asked him to live his normal life. Same breakfasts, same working lunches, same evening meals. And the film we got back told a very different story from the photograph. His mornings were calm, but certain lunches, the ones he considered perfectly sensible, sent his glucose up sharply and then dropped it just as hard a couple of hours later. The timing of those drops mapped almost exactly onto the afternoons he described as foggy. James had not been imagining it, and he was not simply getting old. His average was hiding his swings. So why does a normal average hide all of this? Think of glucose like traffic on a motorway. The annual average is the total number of cars in a day. It can look completely normal, while at specific hours you have gridlock and then empty road. The single yearly reading captures none of that movement. Continuous monitoring captures all of it. And when researchers have actually looked, the movement is far more common than we assumed. In a 2018 Stanford study published in the journal PLOS Biology, researchers put monitors on people considered normal by standard testing. Even in those normal individuals, glucose drifted into the pre-diabetic range around 15% of the time and into the diabetic range around 2% of the time. Normal on paper, not normal on the film. A second piece comes from a 2015 study of 800 people published in Cell, which recorded responses to nearly 47,000 meals. The striking finding was this: the very same meal produced very different glucose responses in different people. There is no universal healthy lunch. There is only your response to your lunch. And the swings themselves appear to matter, not just the height of the peak. In a 2006 study, this time in people with type 2 diabetes, the size of the glucose swings tracked more closely with markers of oxidative stress, the cellular wear and tear that drives aging, than the average glucose did. I want to be precise here. That mechanism was shown most clearly in diabetes, but it tells us why a metabolism full of sharp swings may be doing quiet work that a calm average would never reveal. Now to the part James cared about most, the afternoon fog. In a 2021 study of more than 1,000 healthy people, researchers found that the size of the glucose dip 2 to 3 hours after a meal predicted how hungry people felt and how much they ate at the next meal. Let me be honest about the limits of this. That study measured hunger and eating, not focus or fog directly. I am not going to tell you the science has proven that a glucose dip causes brain fog, because it has not cleanly. What I can tell you is that the post-spike dip is real, it is measurable, and for many of my patients, it lands at exactly the hour their energy and clarity fall away. So here is what 2 weeks of monitoring let James actually do. First, he found his personal spikers, the specific meals, not food groups, that moved him most. Second, he changed the order and the company of those meals. Protein and vegetables first, carbohydrate later in the meal. A short walk after lunch rather than straight back to the desk. Third, he stopped guessing. He replaced belief with his own data. And within 2 weeks of adjusting, the 3 o'clock cliff softened. Not because he ate less, because he ate in a way his own metabolism could handle. None of this required a diagnosis, none of it required a drug. It required seeing the film instead of the photograph. If James's story sounds familiar, the most useful first step is not to buy a monitor tomorrow. It is to understand where you actually stand. The free Executive Longevity Scorecard, linked below, takes about 8 minutes and shows you how you are doing across the 6 pillars of longevity that matter most after 45, including the metabolic one we have talked about today. It is free and it gives you a personalised report at the end. For the executives who want to go further, continuous glucose monitoring and detailed blood work are part of the deeper precision work we do. But that begins with knowing your starting point. So start there. The link is below. I am Dr. Mark Holmes, and I will see you in the next one.